Okay, welcome to Heart 3, where we're going to talk about two things, giving and receiving. And giving and receiving are actually an interesting oval. I think of them as a continuum, because as you give and someone receives, having them receive from you is actually a giving to you. And so around it goes. So let's take a look. Let's start with giving. Let's check back to your values, back from the mind section of the book, and see, was giving on there? Is there anything about giving that feels important to you to show up with in your life? Giving can be something as small as, again, helping somebody cross the street, or you can make a year-long commitment to volunteer for CASA and show up for a child who needs representation and support in their life. So what is giving to you? The important thing for you to know is that you have gifts and you have talents and you have knowledge and you have time. And you're an important and valuable being, so you have a lot to give if you want to do that, if that feels like a way that you can nourish and support your happiness, because giving really is a happiness skill. These things coming from you can make a difference in people's lives in large and small ways. Again, whether you're picking up the trash off the street and throwing it in the trash barrel, doesn't that make it nice for the next person coming down the street when that's no longer there? It's large and small. How does giving look for you? How do you want to contribute to the world? Yes, giving money is nice, and certainly it's important and valuable, but there's so many other ways, and you have so many aspects of you to share. What aspects of you would you like to share? Now, if you're sitting there saying to me, I don't really have any skills or talents, I don't know what you're talking about, I'm not that good at anything, I'm going to say to you, yes, you are. And go back to the part about what do you value about you and look more closely. And if that was a hard section for you, look again. Because you have kindness, you have a beautiful smile, you have ears to listen with. Just listening to somebody can be the greatest gift you ever give them. So check again. What is the first way you could begin with something small that feels comfortable to you? And I know you have to be brave sometimes to step a little bit outside the box to say, yes, I'll try something different, something new. I will give maybe in this way. My brother-in-law, for example, he took a lot of art classes, became a wonderful watercolorist, and he got drawn into teaching watercolor. Okay, so maybe you haven't done something like that, but maybe you're really excellent at typing and keyboarding. Maybe you're really good at that, and somebody who has a struggle with it. Maybe you can sew or you can knit and you can make caps or blankets for babies that are homeless or people that have lost their hair because of chemo. There are a lot of people who need in a lot of different ways. Be brave. Show up. Try something small. You'll be glad that you did. You're going to feel good every time you give, ways large or small. Okay, so now let's look at the skills that support this conversation. And the first one is actually making the commitment to give. What popped up for you as I was talking during those few minutes? Is there something that's kind of been niggling at you that you thought you'd like to do? I mean, maybe you want to get on the phone and call a senior center and take your dog over to visit with the seniors. Or maybe you can play the piano and you can go and play music for somebody who normally wouldn't get to hear music. Again, a senior center or a hospital, what are those things that you can do to brighten somebody's day in a small way? Because those small ways are the big ways. The simple things are the most important things. So in this section, I invite you to write the thing you want to commit to, and then below it, write the action steps to make the commitment. Let's use the example of, let's say, I want to go to the senior center and maybe just read to the people there because they're not able to. Okay, what would the action steps be? Well, maybe the first one is, I'm going to find the phone number for the senior center down the road. Second step, I'm going to make the call and talk to the volunteer person there. Third step, I'm going to make a commitment to a time to go and read to the seniors there. Fourth step, I'm going to put it in my planner, and then I'm going to show up and do it. Remember, as we did in moving the action forward in mind, you've got to put those steps in your planner to actually create change and action in your life. So I invite you to pause here if you'd like to. Think through what you'd like to commit to and write the action steps. And when you're complete, make sure you put those steps in your planner. That's the thing that's going to bring it into being in your life. It's going to make it real. That's what you want to do. You want to make your happiness real. So take a pause here if you want to, and I'll check in with you with the next skill. So setting your intention, of course, is going to be a natural follow-up to everything we've looked at so far. So during your morning practices, set your intention to give in some way during the day. Some way, again, large or small, it doesn't matter how it's going to be. And maybe you have a clear perspective on what that's going to be, or maybe you simply want to put the intention out there and say, I am going to make sure that some way today I've got my head set to give. Something's going to show up that I can do for somebody, and I'm going to say yes to that. You know, for example, there was a woman walking her dog in front of my house yesterday, and the dog got loose on its leash, and for some reason it started running toward me. So I just gently bent down in a safe way and started playing with something in my yard. I don't even remember what it was, and that dog was curious and came over. So I made sure that I could assist that woman in getting her dog back. The point is, those opportunities show up. Write about that intention in your journal. If I awaken and I set my intention to be helpful during the day and I'm a morning journaler, I'm going to write that down, because remember, every way that we can store a thought inside ourselves and share the thoughts with ourselves brings it one step closer into being. So that can be a morning practice for you. Setting your intention to give in either a specific way, maybe it's your day to go to the senior center, or just being open to the opportunity showing up for a way you can give in that day. Okay, now let's look at receiving. Receiving with appreciation is a happiness skill, and it's a pretty tall order for some people. Now, as I said before, receiving is a way of giving to the giver. The giver is giving because that's important to them. So when you receive from them, that allows the full circle of completion for what they set their intention to do, which was in some way brighten your day or brighten your life or affirm to you. They want to send the message that you're important. So when you can receive that with a smile and with comfort, it's a win-win. It's a win-win for you both. Now, I know that for some people, receiving is difficult. It's uncomfortable. It pushes up against our sense of, do I really deserve this? Am I valuable enough? Maybe you don't like to be the center of attention and you feel embarrassed and awkward. Well, that just goes to work that you can do on affirming that you have value. That goes back to the self-love work. Yes, of course, I have value and people want to be with me and give to me, and I appreciate it and I'm grateful. It can come from a place of great gratitude and humility. You can be humble in your receiving. It's not like, yeah, I'm so great, of course they want to give to me. It's not that. You know, that, again, remember, self-love is not about arrogance. It's not about ego. It's about caring and nurturing for yourself and having an attitude of doing it for others. So in receiving, you're actually nurturing and caring for the giver. So important for you to have that awareness as you go into the happiness skills practices. So the first one, the notice your feelings skill, that's what I'm talking about here. How do you feel about receiving? How about grabbing your journal and writing about that? Just simply respond to this question. How do I feel about receiving? Is it comfortable for me? What happens inside of me when someone wants to give me something or do something for me? Am I able to say yes? Am I able to receive? If you find that you're uncomfortable or you're resistant, notice that, write more about it. And remember, you're giving a gift when you receive. The next skill is to set your intention. Because as you set your intention to give, so too you can set your intention to receive. For example, if you know it's your birthday and there's going to be a party and gifts, and you've had in the past some discomfort around that, now you're doing your happiness skills work and you're practicing setting intention, and you know how to vision and see something before it happens to help make it what you want it to be. So maybe you awaken on that day and you set your intention to comfortably receive the gifts, to enjoy opening them and being surprised, and to have fun with the giver because that's giving back to them as you receive and you're grateful for the gift. That can happen as a way of being in your morning practice on a day when you know you're going to receive. But even more than that, again, in a general way, in the morning, you can set your intention to be gracious and comfortable with receiving in this day. So if someone decides they want to buy you lunch and they say, hey, come on, I want to buy you lunch, or you go to lunch and they want to pick up the tab, you can go to your practices around being a receiver and being comfortable with accepting and grateful and saying, yeah, thank you so much, and be really gracious with that. That's setting your intention to receive. Now, there's another aspect of receiving that's important to think about. Saying yes to things and saying no to things. There are going to be things that we are offered, whether it's a situation, an opportunity, or a gift or a specific item, that don't actually feel good to us. Now, this is because it's coming from a place of someone's trying to manipulate or control, or they want something in return for what they're giving. And in those cases, it's appropriate for you to practice saying no graciously. So, for example, if someone asks you to go out to the movies at night, but you know what, you're not comfortable going out at night for whatever reason, and as you have evolved your practice of being true to yourself and being calm and comfortable saying your truth to other people, you'll simply say, thank you so much for that invitation, but you know, I prefer to stay in at night. Now, if someone tries to strong-arm you or manipulate you or coerce you, say you're out, you're having one drink before you go home at night, you like to have a cocktail, and they're trying to push you into 2 or 3, and you know you don't want to do that, but they're going, oh, come on, and they're giving you a hard time. Deep breath, let it out, and you say, no, thank you, I'm going to go now. And you simply stand and you leave. Remember, there's really only one person in the world you have to be in a good relationship with, and that person is you. So as you build that strong sense of self and a strong sense of love and kindness toward you, you may sometimes be in an awkward situation like that. And the you that came into the work of building happiness, the you that wanted more happiness, that might have been a hard thing for you at one time. And maybe it still is hard to say no, because you want to get along and go along and have people like you. Remember, if you're not liking you and you're not loving for you and caring for you, then you're not on your happiness practices and you're not saying yes to what you want. And first and foremost is for you to say yes to you. So when you say yes to the things you want to receive because they nourish you, they care for you, they respect and honor you, that's a good yes, and that's a good way to receive. And it's important on the flip side that you say no to the things that don't honor, nourish, support, and care for you in terms of receiving. So as I say all that, what comes up for you? What experiences have you had that you can relate to what I've just said? What current situations do you have in your life that you're trying to manage that might fall into this category? Go ahead and write about that. If you've been a people pleaser, this is going to be a tough one. And one step at a time. I want you to know you can get there one baby step at a time. If you get into one situation, maybe if someone says, oh, come on, go to lunch with me, and you're like, and you want to stay in the office and finish your work, you normally would say yes to them because you don't want them to not like you or think you don't like them. Just try it one time saying, I really need to stay in. I'm going to feel a lot better this afternoon if I stay in. So thanks for the invitation, but I just can't go right now. And then you close the door. You stay where you are. Then you follow through and you be consistent. You can always make an I statement to someone, and you can smile. And that's a soft way to say no. So if you need a soft no, that's a way. Sometimes you need a hard no, which is just simply say no and get up and walk away. Journal about this. How can you take these ideas and apply them in your life? What's present for you? So the next skill is asking for what you need. And again, this goes to the conversation of, do you feel like you're good enough, that you're worthy, that it's okay to ask for what you need? And the answer is yes. And that is what this work is about. So maybe you just need a hug. Maybe you need a quiet walk in the park with your friend. Maybe you just need to go out and have a heck of a good time with your husband. Whatever it is, I encourage you as a skill practice here to reach out to people and ask for what you need in your life. This is a way of receiving, and again, perhaps a giving as well, because you're letting somebody know they don't know unless you tell them that you're in need of something. Maybe it's just a coworker and you need to borrow a pencil. Asking for what you need and showing up that way is definitely a skill in the receiving section of your happiness skills. So let's see if you're comfortable asking for what you need, and you can practice that. Let's take a look at the summary from this section. Let's see what you want to check. Do you want to make a commitment to give? Is there something in particular you want to show up to do in the world in terms of volunteering and giving? Will you set your intention to give during the day as a general practice? Do you want to do that? And next, will you notice your feelings and journal about and see what's there for you as you sort through how you want to show up in this space of giving and receiving? Do you want to say yes to setting your intention to receive? Do you want to say yes for asking for what you need? Do you want to say yes? Do you want to say no? Do you want to practice those skills? I'm grateful you're here. Thanks.